Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the Weekly Review. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me, as always, by my side is my boy, the RWT Dead Man himself, Mr. Paul Morales. How are you, Paul Morales?
Boom! Oh, what's up, my brother? How you doing?
I am good. A lot has gone on in the week of professional wrestling. TNA just had Slammiversary this past Saturday night, and let's just put this out here. Let's seriously just put this out here. The people that were bitching that Joe, and we'll start like this. The people that were bitching that Joe Hendry got eliminated so quickly, Josh Alexander turns heel, kicks him right in the ding-ding, gets the 1-2-3. You got to wait to let it build, man. And if Joe Hendry's going to be on NXT all this time, he's not going to win the title right now. He's in a feud with Gallus on NXT. Nick Nemeth finally winning that championship makes sense. You got him and Moose. You got him and all these people. They put it on the veteran. Like, I saw no problem with this. It's not time yet for Joe. You got to let it ride, man.
Exactly. And my take on this is him winning it from the veteran. That would kind of give him so much more of a, I guess, push. I would say that it would help him a lot. I mean, not to say that he doesn't already have that crowd support behind him, but something he can do, something he can build. I see it. It's coming. I just think it's going to happen in TNA first. And I would love what he said at the press conference on, I think it was Friday.
Yeah.
When he said that when he does win, he would like to call out John Cena. Now that would be impressive to get, you can't see me for the TNA title.
I mean,
give me all of that. Joe Hendry, John Cena,
TNA title. Yes.
TNA title, right?
I mean, it has.
Here's the thing: is that we got 2 nights of WrestleMania. Imagine the TNA World Title defended at WrestleMania. Come on,
dude! It has to happen for the fact that Joe Hendry talks about John Cena calling him as a 15-year-old kid and him talking to him. It writes the story itself right there. And I mean, when you have Joe Hendry, and like I mentioned, he's going against Gallus on NXT. They're having him do more NXT appearances. This has really helped, again, the NXT TNA relationship. And we'll go here because a lot of people have this thing, and I look at it like this. The AEW fans are like, oh, well, we did it first because we work with TNA, and Kenny Omega and Rich Swann from Rebellion had one of the best buy rates in their pay-per-view history, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, WWE still has a better working relationship, and I'll go, why? Okay. Jordynne Grace debuted at the Royal Rumble, and again, AEW, and Musa said it, Matt Hardy said it, Tony Khan was just in there to put his brand over and not really help with TNA. WWE's like, yeah, we'll work with them. We'll put Jordynne Grace on the Royal Rumble. We'll have her wrestle at NXT TakeOver. We'll have Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dane go over to Impact and wrestle Jordynne Grace for the Knockouts Championship. We'll have the Rascals go over there and face the No Quarter Catch Crew on a TNA pay-per-view. We'll do so many great things with TNA. Frankie Kazarian almost won the Battle Royal to become number 1 contender. Like, need I say more with what we're doing with the TNA and NXT relationship as opposed to the AEW and a TNA relationship?
Yeah, and you could see the differences on how they're presented on the show, especially if it probably would have been a whole lot different had Tony actually brought in people from TNA and actually showcase them the exact same way that WWE is doing. And that's the difference. One is actually going to show everybody, the other people are not. So it's a great partnership that they have right now. And then not to mention WWE going over to Japan to actually take AJ, Io Sky to go over there to wrestle. And if you didn't see those matches, man, I beg you to go watch them, man, because they were both bangers.
I think what I love about it, too, as well is, and I mean, that was always my gripe with AEW on their side, is because, I mean, we got Kenny Omega and Sami Callihan for the title, and I mean, Matt Hardy and Private Party went over there, but I'm just looking at it, it's like and Christian Cage, of course, fought Kenny Omega for the TNA World title. That was big. But I'm like, you could do some more. And I know the OC was on AEW, but it's like, there's more you can do there. And I think Tony kind of failed to really see that. And something I wanted to ask you about with Tony is Carrie Silkin, the former owner of Ring of Honor and the former Ring of Honor ambassador, went on a podcast and he was talking about how Tony Khan, he pretty much said, like, you know, our ROH, yeah, we had some comedy stuff and all that, but it meant something. back in the day. Now, I don't care how much money Tony Khan has. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't feel like Ring of Honor under Tony Khan's leadership and ownership of the company. What do you think about what Kerry Silkin had to say about Tony Khan? And I mean, a guy who's been in the early days of Ring of Honor, Kerry Silkin, and the ownership. Like, what are your thoughts on what Kerry had to say about Tony and Ring of Honor?
It's interesting because Kerry's not wrong.
No.
Everything that he said, he's not wrong. And what is a fact is that Tony is not presenting it the way it should be presented. It doesn't. It may have a little bit of that old feel to it, but come on, man. We all know what ROH was like back in the day. We all know what ROH was specifically. Indie wrestling, banger matches. It didn't matter who was there. Look at the long list of guys who have gone through there. But Kerry had every right to say what he's saying because the presentation of what ROH is since Tony bought it is trash. And I have to admit, it's probably more or less along the lines of the ECW, that reboot of ECW, and it has that kind of, I want to say, je ne sais quoi feel to it.
I feel you on that. I call it AEROH, if you will. And it's like WWE ECW. No, because, I mean, if you look at the pay-per-view coming up, we got Death Before Dishonor as we're recording. This is going to be happening this weekend. I mean, Mark Briscoe and Roderick Strong I'm cool with. Athena and Lady Queen Aminata, excuse me. That's going to be good. I think Red Velvet and Billy Starks, Diamante and Layla Hirsch out of nowhere. But I'm like, this doesn't make me go, man, I want to see this Ring of Honor pay-per-view. I need to see Death Before Dishonor. Like, and I know this, again, I love Mark Briscoe and Roderick Strong. I think that's going to be amazing. But this doesn't make me want to drop the money, to drop bones on him, if you will, throw them bows on a pay-per-view. Like back in the day, like when you had Bryan Danielson against Takeshi Morishima, you had Bryan Danielson. I was there when he beat James Gibson, Jamie Noble for the Ring of Honor title. Like Bryan Danielson against Lance Storm, CM Punk against Terry Funk. Like anybody, like, from like the 2005, 2006, when Christian Cage wrestled in Ring of Honor briefly. Matt Hardy wrestled in Ring of Honor briefly around that time. Like, you had so many people, Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, God rest his soul, Jimmy Rave, Samoa Joe, like everybody, Austin Aries, Roderick Strong, Alex Shelley. I mean, we'll be here all day. Like, you had an accoutrement, a je ne sais quoi, to quote my main man, Paul Morales over here, a plethora of talent that solidified what the golden age of some of the independent professional wrestling is. And now on Ring of Honor, it's just like, okay, that's how it feels. And I'm sorry to say that, but that's how it feels.
And I get everybody's point, and I get it that they're trying their hardest to work with what they got. You know, they're trying their best to do what they need to do as far as like Athena. Athena is an outstanding, phenomenal wrestler. We all already know that. She faked an injury, saying that she was going to be out for so much time. Then all of a sudden she got found out that she was lying. So that I can understand. Great. It's a really, really good build, but it's not enough for me to say, hey, guess what? I'm going to drop all this. I'm going to drop $40 or however much it is, you know, to go watch this pay-per-view. I'm sorry. I will go watch it on TikTok. I'm sorry. But I know people who are going to stream it on TikTok. Hey, they're looking for clout for followers. Hey, I will go watch it on theirs. But here's the God's honest truth. Tony has too much on his plate to try and run two different companies. Now, from what reports have been saying, that he's actually going to back off and allow other people to actually run ROH. I don't know how much of that is true because Tony is very much like Vince. I have to be into everything. So if the reports are true, hey, kudos, great. Maybe somebody else will come in and do a really, really bang up job. If not, then what do we have? You know, what do we have? This is just going to be one of those. All right, cool.
Yeah, and that's my thing too. And I mean, we'll start the show here, and this is the AEW portion, because AEW this past Dynamite really only had an hour match and then some stuff mixed in the middle. But I want to go back with Tony here because we mentioned his influx with Ring of Honor and everything that's happened. He also made headlines for his Adam Copeland, this is his best run ever at AEW. And everybody's looking at him like, you out of your fucking mind. Like not the TLC matches, not the rated R superstar era that began when he cashed in on John Cena and Money in the Bank. Not the feuds of Cena, Batista, The Undertaker, even up to like 2000 and I will say 2009 because 2010 was his last year. I mean, him and Alberto and whatnot was but not even the second one with Randy Orton, him and Beth Phoenix against The Miz and Maurice, the Judgment Day, like him and Seth Rollins, him and Finn Balor. But no, this is his best run. I mean, where he's already gotten hurt. The feud with Christian, the feud with House of Black, the Cope Open, which I will say this because with the Cope Open, I know what they were trying to do, much like Cena did in 2015, but nobody will ever beat what John Cena did with the U.S. Open Challenge in 2015. I know he wrestled guys like Stardust, Cody Rhodes, Xavier Woods, Neville, Zack Ryder, the New Day, whoever. Like the difference between that and Edge with the Cope Open, these were guys who were on WWE Raw, but they were used in preliminary role or they were on the come up. When Edge had the Cope Open, it's like, all right, Matt Cardona was a nice surprise, and we get that. But like Griff Garrison, who was on Ring of Honor, hasn't been on AEW since Methuselah was alive, and Lee Moriarty, who again is on Ring of Honor and he hasn't been on AEW since Methuselah was alive. Like it meant not a goddamn thing. So there's the difference there. But what were your thoughts on Tony Khan and Edge is the best run ever? Huh?
Yeah, he's so full of shit. It's blasphemous to actually state that, because he's a champion, just because he's defending a title, the equivalent of the Intercontinental title or the United States title. Yeah, I get it. He's doing pretty much the exact same thing John Cena did, and trying to wrestle guys, which is great. I get it. He wanted to go to a company to try different things. But please don't compare it to how he was in WWE. That's just ludicrous. And I'm not talking about throwing them bows. I'm talking about the fact that Edge has had a phenomenal career in wrestling. You lessen it when you start talking about him going to another company and it being the most outstanding thing he's ever done in wrestling. Have you missed the 2 TLC matches? Did you not see his runs as a tag team champion? Did you not see his runs as a world heavyweight champion? Are you kidding me? You're trying to compare those times? Get the fuck out of here, Tony.
Like Edge and Eddie Guerrero in the 2002 feud that they had. I was there at SummerSlam, and then you had the no disqualification match on SmackDown. Edge and Kurt Angle in the hair versus hair match. We can mention TLC. We can mention 2001 when he won the King of the Ring. Like everything from 2000 to like 2010. Like that was some of the best Edge stuff. My thing is too, and people are like, oh, but he's a promoter and he's promoting his talent. And I'm like, no, because the problem is he actually believes this. It's like when he said Sting, this is his best run ever. Sting told me it was his best run ever, so it must be his best run ever. That is the problem, because Tony believes this shit. And he knows it's not true, but he's going to glass over that because AEW. I do it for the sickos. AEW. And speaking of AEW, we're going to play this because it has been the talk of the week. And well, Tony, another Tony Schiavone, you motherfucking savage. Here we go.
He'll speak, bitch. Come on now. Oh my God, Schiavone. I'm sorry. I'm just angry about what happened last week.
Unprofessional men.
I know.
Tony Schiavone. What the fuck, man?
I have no idea what the hell was going through Tony's mind. I don't know if he was just trying to let it off, but god damn, he sure as hell just let that one go. I don't know. That's not even like one of those like Freudian slips where you say, I don't know, maybe like an N-word in the middle of a segment. He straight up called her a bitch.
Yes,
I'm sorry. There are times where you want to be, you you want to be critical of people, and if you're angry at them or they're doing something very, very malicious, okay, you're kind of warranted. But for her standing in the ring getting booed by people and she's trying to wait to talk, why do you have to call her names? Why do you even have to say anything? You could have used any other word but bitch. But there's Tony.
It could have just been like, oh, come on now, Mariah, let's speak. We know what you did to Tony Storm, and just like be angry or say something like that. Not, oh, you bitch, why don't you just speak already? You know.
Exactly. And what does it do? I mean, who are you trying to impress here? Are you trying to impress the other Tony in the fucking back? Come on now. I mean, that's disrespectful beyond belief, man. And he should have apologized like immediately after. And I get it, he was frustrated or whatever, or maybe he's just frustrated altogether about everything that's going on. You can't do that. I don't care how good of an announcer you are, you just can't do that.
My thing is, when he calls MJF a scumbag and this son of a bitch, you can understand it because it's MJF. Like it's MJF, okay? Like, that is fine. But Mariah May, who literally just turned heel, and Tony Storm, and I love Tony Storm. This is some of her best work ever. We laugh, we're entertained. But, like, she was a scumbag beforehand. She would cheat. Like, Tony Storm is now a babyface. She used to be that same way. She would cheat. And she became this delusional heel because AEW loves to do the we got to turn on everybody storyline, because she got like this because Saraya and Ruby turned on her, and now she's just all upset because Mariah turned on her. Like, this is like, I thought Dave Meltzer thought it sucked because, of course, Dave did. It's like, oh, well, nobody was saying anything and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, because Dave, they legit thought it was Tony Storm until, like, they didn't. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was that good of the tomfoolery. And Mariah came out and just said, like, y'all knew I was going to do it anyway. And I'm like, you couldn't have just, like, there were so many booking holes. Like, Tony Storm you couldn't have done, like, a vignette this week and just be like, Mariah, why would you do this? Why would you do this to me? And then it builds to that. And then Mariah comes out, not just giving us Mariah May right away and talking about, you knew I was going to do it. So I like it. I'm looking forward to the feud, but I did think they kind of jumped the gun a little of where the turn happened. That's my only criticism. But other than that, I thought it was fine. What'd you think?
I think my only critique of actually her coming out like that was, it should have been a face-to-face.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been, if Tony is now the baby face in this story, then what should have happened, Mariah should have came out like Tony, then Tony should have came out like to say something. This way the crowd would have been like, you know, Spider-Man gif or Spider-Man freaking meme. You know, it would have been that, and it would have been very, very poetic for them to actually do it at the same time. Both come out. But yes, I think that this week should have just been a promo, maybe by Mariah saying why she did it. She didn't need to come out to the ring to booze. There are times and places where things should happen. I'll give you, for instance, after everything that happened at Double or Nothing, why is it that Mercedes was the one that came out the following week instead of freaking MJF, who just returned?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, you could have just did a vignette with Mercedes. You could have just waited another week, let it progress, and maybe do one for somebody else. In other words, allow it to kind of marinate, you know, in people's minds, you know, and maybe throw out another vignette or something, you know, something that brings people in. And I'm sorry, MJF should have been the first person on the following week, period. And this week it should have been a vignette, and there should have been a promo on a vignette, and then the following week something happened. You're leading up to All Out or All In in Wembley. It has to have a build, and you need to continue to keep building and building and building. Come on, Tony, you're fucking up.
Here's my thing. First of all, I like that analogy because it would have been like a reverse Mickie James Trish Stratus 2006 when Mickie came out dressed as Trish, and then And then just came out just as Mickey, which was awesome, and her mannerisms. That I would have loved to see. And I mean, speaking of something you love to see, because you did mention Mercedes Moné, and we're going to talk about her match with Nyla Rose this past week on AEW. But this happened in the back.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Got to go.
All right. Good to see you. You're so hot. You okay? I'm okay. It's for us.
Okada.
Okada getting a little holler under the collar for Mercedes. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
At least somebody is.
Here's what's funny about it. First of all, I think Okada is hilarious doing this and saying bitch. He is absolutely entertaining. But the hypocrisy of, can you imagine if he did this on WWE? Fans would be outraged. But since it's on AEW, it's okay. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying about that. But I'm loving Kazuchika Okada doing this entertaining feel. He's doing his thing with the Elite, and we'll discuss the Elite in a moment here. But Mercedes Moné, Nyla Rose from AEW Dynamite, it was okay. And then, Britt Baker in the crowd. DMD is greater than the CEO. Rips off the mask. Of course, it was Britt Baker. Mercedes Moné running away like a scalded dog, to quote JR, and that's leading to their match at All In. What were your thoughts on Mercedes Moné and the open challenge being answered by Nyla Rose, who also we hardly ever see?
Yeah, and I thought Nyla actually did a really, really good job of showcasing her, kind of helping her out a little bit in that ring. It was an okay match. It was good. Wasn't great, wasn't fantastic, mind-blowing, oh my god, 5-star, 30 star fucking Dave Meltzer fucking classic. For some apparent reason he has to have fucking more stars than Carter's Got Pills, but that's a whole nother story for another day. Now, it's just that it was a really, really good match, and I'm glad to see Nyla on TV. She is a great worker. Now, that being said, why did that mask that Britt was wearing look like Asuka's mask?
Very similar, very Asuka-esque, yes.
And I thought it, and I was like, Now, things that make you go, And I thought, and I just thought I thought Britt smiling, everything, getting the crowd over, Mercedes running and hightailing it out of there and trying to get away. Britt chasing after her. I just thought it was a really, really good segment after the match, and I hope that All-In match far exceeds what everybody is expecting it to. So, give me that.
I'm right there with you, and I've always been a Nyla fan. For those who've never seen her work on the indies in Japan, Nyla Rose has always delivered athleticism, and she's absolutely entertaining 1,000%. Are you looking forward to? All right, we're gonna go here. Goddamn learning tree. Chris Jericho, Brian Keith, fucking Big Bill are out there, and then here comes Minoru Suzuki, headbutts him in the head. Bye, guys. Oh, and I'm like, I don't care still. And that hurts because I like Minoru Suzuki. I like the Murder Grandpa, but I don't want to see Chris Jericho and Minoru Suzuki tomorrow night for the FTW Championship. I don't care. I honestly do not care. Again, we've said this many times, and this is, again, no disrespect to Chris Jericho. He's one of the greats. I've been watching him for over 20-plus years, much like you have and much like all of us have. I am tired of the goddamn learning tree. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it.
I don't know where to begin. I really, really don't. But here. I'll start here.
Okay.
I will agree with you that Chris Jericho is far beyond one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
Yep.
Above and beyond on that list, and I'm pretty sure he's on millions of people's freaking Mount Rushmore. That being said, you're limited to a role to where you're pretty much, I don't know, someone like Terry Funk.
Yep.
Terry Funk-esque. Like those part-time wrestlers that used to come back, and then you're just kind of like, okay, that's cool. Yay, they're showing off, and I'll even go back a little further than that. I remember Bobby Heenan used to get in the wrestling ring every so often, sometimes like specialty matches or whatever. Sometimes he did one with Big John Studd. And I remember I remember Wahoo McDaniel when he got older, and Bruno Sammartino was another one. As he got older, he started doing like little like matches with people just to kind of get them over and whatnot. But it just seems like where Jericho is at right now, he's not really getting anybody over, but he's just kind of like hanging on to some sort of lifeline that Tony is kind of throwing at him, saying, here, you're one of the greatest of all time. You're probably on my Mount Rushmore, but here, let me just throw this at you because you know what? I think you're great.
Here you go, Chris.
Yeah, here you go, Chris. You could do whatever the hell you want. And I get it. Once Chris was there 5 years ago and he got there and was trying to do something completely different in AEW and helping them grow, the Jericho Appreciation Society was really, really good. I wish it would have taken off a hell of a lot more than what it did. I wish they would have did something like the Elite and kind of like start bringing in all the titles. That would have been even better. Putting over all the guys that were in the JAS, and instead we got what we got. And right now, it just looks like Jericho is just there, kind of like taking whatever lifeline, that Tony's kind of handing him and just saying, here, go with it. And he's not putting anybody over. This whole FTW fucking championship with Minoru Suzuki is probably going to be at best. And now, mind you, this is nothing against Chris Jericho. Again, I think you are one of the greatest of all time. It's just we're talking about two pretty much 50-year-old men in the damn ring doing whatever.
So here's my thing. I like the Terry Funk analogy because when he was in ECW and he was the ECW champ, he beats Raven and Barely Legal. He has Sabu in that barbed wire match. And he's in there with Cactus. He's in there with Stevie Richards and in the Sandman and all these guys. Here's my thing though. Terry helped elevate them. Chris Jericho has elevated no one. Absolutely no one. And for those that think he has, well, sure. Action Andretti. He's in a trios team. He ain't done shit since he beat Chris Jericho. Will Ospreay, you knew him from Japan. Does it help get him a win? Yeah, but he was already elevated. Like a lot of people were so excited for Will Ospreay he's already up there because Will Ospreay's wrestled Kenny Omega and all these guys. Is it good for him to beat Jericho? Yeah, but he was already popular in the fans' eyes. He had the reaction. He had the emotion. Like people liked Will Ospreay. Say what you will. MJF really didn't need anything with Jericho except for me and my shadow. Jericho and Hook, I Hook whatever. I'm just going to say it right now. If it doesn't end with him finally beating him for the FTW title at Wembley, that should be it. If not, just go to NXT. Hook, just get out. Just if that doesn't happen, just get out, Hook. Just get out.
Yeah, and it's weird because you look at the names that are going to be have contracts expiring. I mean, I could see Hook being in NXT,
right.
And I could see Shawn Michaels doing a great deal with him. I don't think he's going to do something like Ricochet and ended up was a speed champion. I don't see that for him. I do see him as a champion, maybe North American in NXT, maybe a world champion, but right now I would like to see him do more in AEW. Give me him and freaking Will Ospreay. I would love to see it because I think Hook is so much more than just whatever he's done with Jericho. I think he's a far better wrestler because of his dad and because of the pedigree of his dad. I think he's a far better wrestler than anybody gives him credit for. So that would be somebody I would like to see him in the ring with. Darby Allin, if anything, him and Darby probably can throw out a banger of a match.
Well, yeah, it's the judo throw wrestling style, and I mean we saw Darby at the end of the show with Okada and Swerve, and ending in the DQ, and then Darby comes down much like Sting from the rafters, and that sets up the blood and guts match that we're going to see tomorrow with the Acclaimed, Darby Allin Mark Briscoe and Swerve against the Elite, which we'll see how that goes and what we see tomorrow on Blood and Guts. It should be very interesting to see that story being told. But the story that was told that everybody's been talking about, MJF beats Will Ospreay, diamond ring right to the face. This diamond ring doesn't shine for me anymore. And 59 minutes and 58 seconds for the International Championship. The oxygen mask is flowing. Too easy. It's too easy. Some people are saying it's the greatest match in AEW history. For that, I say no. And number two, I enjoyed the match. They did their thing. It bumped the rating, not as much as probably they wanted, but it bumped the rating. And MJF is the international champion with 795K tuning into last week's AEW. What were your thoughts on the match? Is it the best match in AEW's history? And MJF winning the international title?
I think it could possibly, it ranks up there as one of the best matches on Dynamite history.
Yes.
Not the greatest matches in AEW history.
Right.
I'm sorry, but we could already make a list of already the top three, and two of them already have Kenny Omega in the beginning. So that's
Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, Hangman Adam Page. Like, come on now.
And that's another thing. And this one, and I'm just talking about specifically AEW as a whole.
Yes.
I mean, you can go back to Swerve and Hangman at Full Gear. That was by far one of the greatest matches I've ever seen live. Seen live. And my daughter and I were like, oh god damn, like watching it just in awe. And for her first definite oh my god fucking match, she was just like, she's like, did you see that? Yeah, that was one of those moments.
Love that, man. And yeah,
but here's the thing is that I think in my heart it was a really, really great match. Maybe top 3, top 5 in Dynamite history. I'll say top 3 in Dynamite history. So we're talking about 5 years here, roughly about 5 years of the show. So I think it was by far one of the great matches, and the fact that it waited up until 2 seconds just before the time limit, and it went almost an hour. Give me all of that.
I mean, I could also make it a case for Cody and Dustin in the early stages of AEW. And I mean, I liked the match too, just because they both worked hard. Will Ospreay sold. MJF did what MJF does. And I mean, now does this set up him and Will at Wembley? Will wins it back in front of Wembley, and then Daniel Garcia screws MJF. And then we get MJF and Daniel Garcia at All Out in, I believe, what's it, Chicago for All Out? Yeah. Or wherever that's going to be. Like, that could be a story right there. But yeah, that was pretty much your Dynamite. I mean, we covered it because they went almost an hour. And I mean, look at Raw, man. And I mean, these two, like when Shawn Michaels and John Cena we've talked about this, that 55-minute banger on Raw from the UK, like that is still one of my favorite Raw matches ever from 2007. It's like stuff like that, man. The right timing, the right pacing, and just the two parties involved. It takes two to tango. Like they did their thing. And I will say this about Dynamite, because I have a couple final things with AEW, and then we'll get into this week so far with Raw and just the overall ongoings in professional wrestling. Big thing that came out, Stephanie Baker, who we mentioned in our last show, signed with WWE, wrestled Isla Dawn. Oh my goodness, that gear. Hello. In Mexico, beats Isla Dawn. And then we find out on the Keeping It 100 podcast, on Conan's podcast, they were talking about Stephanie Baker and how I think it was an easy decision from the Mexican talent that she spoke with in AEW and the Mexican talent that she went to WWE, she spoke with the WWE, that it was a no-brainer for her to go to WWE. But one of the big stories that came out is apparently, much like with CM Punk in Wembley, apparently they forgot to pick her up at the airport. Yeah, they forgot to pick up Stephanie Baker at the airport. So I want to get your thoughts on that, because that also could have been a big reason why she didn't choose AEW, besides the locker room and whatnot. But yeah, not picking her up at the airport like CM Punk. Your thoughts?
Stephanie is one of those high-class wrestlers that if you want her in your company, you're going to do everything in your power to get her in your company.
Absolutely.
And you know how great she is. I mean, and she proved it. She proved it in that match with Mercedes. Mm-hmm. She dropped the title and I think in all honesty, like she had mentioned in the podcast that was kind of the deal breaker for her. The fact that she went over there, she was going to make the match. They didn't pick her up at the airport. And it was like, I see where I stand with you. I'm going to go somewhere else. Now, I would have, now I believe I mentioned this already, the fact that I understand why she didn't take the other bookings. I mean, I understand that she probably could have, but like I said, what if something had happened to her? What if she had dislocated something, broke something, hurt herself? Then what kind of liability is she? What are we talking about? 5 months, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, a year time out? She's losing money. So she has the ability to make more money by not taking the bookings, going to WWE, and making money, because that's what she's going to do, and that's where she's at. So let's see. And we've already gotten name drops from Roxanne Perez, name dropping her, name dropping Julia. So another name that's going to end up coming to WWE or NXT, I should say. I just think I'm sorry, Tony, you fucking dropped the ball. You fucked up. Tony, you fucked up.
You fucked up. You fucked up.
They not like us. They not like us. And that's for damn sure. They not like us.
Okay. Now, speaking of not liking, Eric Bischoff and Dave Meltzer once again. Oh my Lord. Okay, so before I play this clip, the reason why this whole thing started is because him and Conrad Thompson, who Conrad is like Dave Meltzer's #1 fan, because anytime Eric says something about damn Dave Meltzer, Conrad gets all sad. It's like, Conrad, be a big boy. Well, you already are a big boy, but be like a big boy as far as that goes. Sorry, not sorry. So I'm sorry, but Conrad Thompson just annoys me with his fandom of Dave Meltzer. I know you used to read the newsletter, or you still read the newsletter, but we can call this man out on his bullshit, which again, 99.99999999999% of what he says is bullshit. So Eric Bischoff commented about how Dave Meltzer said, he had a couple good ideas, and even though he stole some ideas, because of how Eric Bischoff has admitted that the concept of the NWO was derived from something when he was at an All Japan show or New Japan show. I believe it was a New Japan show, and he saw what the gimmick that they were doing there. It wasn't called the NWO. It was whatever thing that they were doing within the New Japan group and this group that they were doing back in the day. He kind of came up with the idea from the Japanese storyline that was happening at the time. That was kind of like the equivalent to the NWO, which he didn't steal it. Like, he just is like, all right, I see what they're doing. Let me do my own take. And we have Scott Hall and Kevin going here, and here's my vision, which became one of the greatest factions of all time with the NWO. So Eric goes like, he's full of shit. You know what I'm saying? I'd like for you to show me where I stole any ideas and blah, 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 blah. Because, again, Eric has admitted that he was at New Japan and he took some of the ideas and he spliced into his own thing with it, right? Which we see a lot within professional wrestling. So this led to Eric Bischoff clapping back with what Paul sent me and what a lot of us have seen, him going off on Dave Meltzer about the Pat McAfee thing of why he wasn't at Raw, even though there was a death in his family, which I believe it was his father-in-law. And it's like, yeah, here we go. Here's what I love about Eazy-E. Eazy-E does not care. This man is in his 60s. He's ready to scrap. And here was Eric Bischoff's comments back to Dave Meltzer about the Pat McAfee missing Raw.
You fraudulent piece of fucking trash. And this is why I despise this person's. This is the same piece of garbage that said that Pat McAfee's absence off of Monday Night Raw, because he's got such great inside information, was because it was part of a storyline, when in fact it was a death in the family. That comment about Pat McAfee and his absence from TV is all you need to know about anything else. This lying, fraudulent piece of, he's just a parasite. He's a no talent. He has zero talents and ability. He calls himself a journalist, yet he can't confirm a story. He writes lies. He's been caught red-handed printing lies from other people just to fill fucking 10,000 words and put out his garbage toilet paper that people spend $15 a month for, whatever it is. He has no understanding of the business of the wrestling business.
And
Your
he's not
thoughts
wrong.
on? Yeah,
And
no.
he is not wrong. He is not wrong. I get it, and you can hear it week after week when you if you listen to the Wrestling Observer and you listen to him and Brian go back and forth. It just seems like half of the time they just talk just to talk. And I get it. They want to banter about stuff. They want to talk about, things like, you and I do. It's different. We have our own opinions, but I don't claim to be a fucking journalist.
Yep.
I don't claim to have fucking insiders in WWE. I don't.
I don't have pull either. Like, come on now.
I'm sorry. I'm not calling up Rhea Ripley. I'm sorry. I'm not calling up fucking Triple H. I'm sorry. I'm not calling up fucking Liv Morgan. I'm not calling up fucking dudes from the New Day. I'm not calling, Kofi or freaking anybody in WWE to try and find out what the fuck is going on with their storylines. That's bullshit. I don't know anybody there, so I can't claim to say, hey, guess what? I'm a certified journalist. No, I am a podcaster. I am here. I am doing this with you for fun. And I have my opinions. Yes. Do I think they're always right? Fuck no. But I like that I can give them, and I don't have to worry about, you over here fucking telling me, fuck you. Because it's not fucking right. Yeah, well, and Moses Marquez. Fuck you, Moses. Happy birthday, by the way.
Birthday, Moses.
Yeah, happy birthday, Moses. But fuck you. But I love you, man. I love you. Happy birthday. Fuck you. But anyways, happy birthday again. Anyways, hope you got your midgets. I'm sorry. That was Amir and Robert, but that's a whole nother story for another day. Anyways, back to that other parasite. Not that you're a parasite. Sorry, man. I didn't mean that. Anyways, Dave. I don't claim to be anything other than just me and me being here with you and being a podcaster and enjoying what we do. Now, that's the exact same thing that at least Dave, at least if you're going to fucking throw shit out there, make sure it sticks. If you're going to throw shit to the wall, at least make sure it sticks and not fucking run down and leave a line of shit trail right behind it. Be honest. At least be fucking upfront. Stop trying to do this shit for clout, because I sure as hell am not. You sure as hell are not. Maybe you are.
No,
but
no.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Here's my thing. I'll add on to your point, because it's like I've had the pleasure of interviewing a lot of indie talent. I've interviewed people who's been in the roster, people of all facets of life. You don't see me going, hey, such and such, who got kicked out of the locker room? What happened on the last indie show? What's the problem in the backstage? Or you don't see me going, hey, man, can you tell me what happened? I'll give you an example. When I interviewed Karrion Kross years ago, remember when the John Morrison thing happened with Austin Aries and Bound for Glory? You don't see me going, so, hey, can you Killer Kross? Can you tell me what happened there? What's the deal? Is this a shoot, brother, or what is it? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not.
Okay, and I'll run it back. Yeah. I'll run it back. You are very much like Denise.
Yes.
Because Denise will ask specific questions. She knows if I want these people to continue to keep coming back to me and continue to keep, seeing me as not being somebody like, I don't know, Dave and fucking Brian. I want them. I love the interaction that I get to have with these people, much like you with the people that you interview. You love to be able to tell them, hey, look, I want you to feel comfortable talking to me. Hey, at any time you want to come back, you're more than welcome.
Yep.
And that's just how it is. But when you start throwing lies like this, you get guys. I'm sorry, Kevin Nash, someone who also fucking trashed Dave Meltzer.
Yep.
Eazy-E, somebody else trashed Dave Meltzer. But and Triple H actually decided that he wanted to throw his fucking hat in that too, because he knows how Dave can be and start talking shit and saying stuff off the damn wall, because Dave needs to hear himself speak. Dave needs to hear himself say something in order to make it stick on the wall. It doesn't always work that way. Same thing with Brian. I'm sorry. I'll rant. I can rant all fucking day about them too. But no, I'll go back to you. I'll go back to you and I and this show, because we need to keep going.
Oh, absolutely. Well, there were two other things we're going to add with Dave before we get to the topics and what we saw on Raw. I know all right, well, you mentioned Kevin Nash, so we're going here because Kevin Nash did comment on this, and I thought his response was hilarious about pretty much Brian Alvarez said, and we're watching the Who Killed WCW documentary about Kevin Nash didn't get it along with Dave, and Kevin Nash was making fun of Brian for being an indie wrestler and whatnot, and like who the hell does he think he is? He's a midget or whatever he said because he went off. So here is the short of what set off Kevin, and how about Kevin Nash doesn't get the pro wrestling business. Here we go.
These people made mistakes 25 years ago, and they still don't get it. Kevin Nash, actually, I thought this documentary hurt Kevin Nash more than anybody because you go into the documentary thinking Russo's an idiot. Okay, he's an idiot. And then you go to the thing and you think Bischoff is, he's an idiot. He had a couple of good ideas there, but he's an idiot. And he's an idiot. But then you go into it and everyone's like, that Kevin Nash wasn't a very good wrestler, but man, he was a smart guy. He got this business. Man, you watch this thing, he didn't get the business at all. He didn't get it.
I think even more than that, I think for the most part, everybody likes Kevin Nash. Like, he's a really likable guy.
Sure.
Like, when I worked with him in WCW, it's like, super nice guy, easy to get along with. And I think everybody generally has a positive feeling about Kevin. And I felt in this document, he just came off, I don't give a fuck, my check cleared. What's the legacy of WCW? It's like, thanks for the cash.
Alrighty, so that was Brian Alvarez and Lance Storm, which Kevin said nothing bad about Lance Storm because him and Lance, like he mentioned, shared the locker room. Him and Lance know each other. Lance is a legend in the professional wrestling business, especially for the Canadian side of things and in the U.S. as well. But Brian is just like, who the fuck are you, Brian? Like, that's what Kevin's like, who the fuck are you, Brian? Like, what the fuck have you done in the wrestling business? So what were your thoughts on Brian Alvarez saying Kevin Nash doesn't get
it? And I think, again, back to the same thing I had stressed before. Both Brian and fucking Dave are a bunch of fucking idiots. I get it. It's like they are literally the National Enquirer of fucking wrestling.
Yep.
They are literally, let me just fucking throw this shit on the wall. Let's see if it sticks. And if not, it's going to have a nice long trail of fucking crap coming down the wall. That's what they do. Both him and fucking Dave. Dude, Kevin has been in this business, I don't know how long. He was there fucking pretty much from the early 90s.
30 plus years, 30 years.
Exactly. So why is it that because he's had such a long track record in wrestling, why is it that what he says isn't legitimate enough for them to kind of say, hey, guess what? Maybe this guy knows what he's talking about. Same thing with them talking about Eric. Bischoff has been in their shit since the fucking 80s. That would be like them telling us that Paul Heyman is completely full of shit because he doesn't know nothing about wrestling. Why? Because he's Paul Heyman? Or is it because that's Eric Bischoff? But or that's Kevin Nash? Or that's freaking Scott Hall? Or, name any other names. I mean, that's like being disrespectful to Lance Storm, who is there.
Yes, right. That's how I took it too, because it's like Lance Storm, who's been wrestling since, the Thrill Seekers with him and Jericho in like 90. Lance Storm has been around for 34 years, Brian. 34 years in the business. ECW, WCW, WWF, WWE. Like, he knows a thing or two, Brian.
Yeah, but I also know that he like Chris started up in Canada, and they started doing at the Hart Dungeon. And I mean, they were wrestling in Canada too. So we'll talk about 88, 89 around there when they both started. So, I mean, up there, look, it's just disrespectful to a lot of the guys who have been here who know what the wrestling business is like. And for Brian and Dave, and I get it, Dave's older, you've seen things go along, but at the same time, I go again, you're doing this for fucking clout. You're getting people to sign up to your damn Patreon or whatever, your magazine or whatever, or your newsletter, just to get people to fucking come in and, No, well, we're gonna write a bunch of bullshit, but you know what? These people will fucking eat it on it. They're no better than wrestling.co. Sorry, but that's true. Because there are a lot of wrestling content creators, no one that is kind of like popular right now. I mean, but there are a lot of content creators that are out there that just kind of throw shit on the wall, kind of just, say things off the wall just to see if people will gravitate towards them. It doesn't make any sense. And then there's like Cage Match, or all these other freaking like little freaking websites that actually just put stuff out there just to, like, they hear rumors from like other people and people on Twitter, on X, or whatever the fuck you want to call it now. Elon's fucking side chick or whatever. I don't know. One of those fucking things, but
it's not Cage. That's Cage Side. Cage Match.
Cage Side, Cage Match, Steel Cage Match, Texas Tornado Match. I don't know. One of those fucking things. Anyways, you get what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, homie, but we also got one more of Dave and Brian, because this is your fault. I'm going
to bed.
No,
I'm going to bed.
This is all you, man, because you brought this to my attention, and I just, again, folks, it's not that we hate these people, but these people say a lot of. Oh yeah,
okay,
maybe not. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of. These people are just so fucking ridiculous. All right, here's the other one.
Was such a pile of shit for years, just declined year over year, collapsing. And then all of a sudden it's contract year, and magically they're way up and they signed this great deal. And then here we are with AEW. I mean, it's their contract year, and it's been a rough one. It's been a rough one.
It's been tough. They lost a lot of interest and I think most of it's because WWE got hot when it took the 18 to 34s.
I'm sure that's the main reason, actually.
That's the main reason. I will say one thing is, as far as there's a lot of criticisms of AEW, and many valid, but the idea that the TV isn't good, especially the last couple of weeks, like the TV the last couple of weeks has been, at least
I would say the last 4 weeks has been vastly improved. I have felt
it's tremendous. No, the last 2 weeks of TV are two of the best TV shows that you'll see.
Okay, so
my valve movements the last couple of weeks have been pretty consistent. And you know what? And I'm pretty sure that I'm a little bit more regular than these past couple of weeks than I have been in the last 5 years.
Okay, well, here's the thing. They go with the 18 to 34 demographics. I'm like, how about the fact that the product was shit? How about the fact that Tony Khan had Vince McMahon, who people hated? They hated the product in 2019 when this company started. Then Vince McMahon was gone. Triple H has been knocking it out of the fucking park. And we've been basing on the GPS navigation of landing the storylines in October to get the WrestleMania and all this. And then here's Tony over here talking about, I do it for the signals, I'll pay you. And just like this fucking numbnuts. And I'm going to say it, Dave. You are a fucking numbnuts. Has nothing to do with the goddamn demographic. It's the fact that, yes, AEW will produce stories, but a lot of them are shitty ones. Hence, I say the learning tree. Again, it's his wet dream is to just have professional wrestling sports-based presentation like Tony does. Tony books for Dave. Dave takes it in and has an orgasmic experience. He has an outer body experience. That is what he wants, for Dave Meltzer to have that outer body experience and give him and Will Ospreay and MJF 5.5 fucking stars. Because that is what Dave wants. That is all Dave cares about. He does not give a rat's ass about how we get there. That's the gist of it.
And I've said this before, and I will say it again, and I'm pretty sure the first 12 episodes of our show, I've said this continuously, maybe 13, maybe 14 episodes in, and I've said the exact same thing. The problem with AEW is storylines. Are they consistent? No. Do they have them? Sort of.
Yeah, sort of.
Yes, they do. But they're not consistent. They are more inconsistent than the fucking Cleveland Browns at sometimes.
Oh wow!
At any point in time throughout the season, they're more inconsistent than the Dallas Cowboys towards the playoffs. Yes, I went there, and if you're a Cowboys fan, your team sucks.
Fucking poor Cowboys. But yes, no, that was
You're
Cowboys.
about as consistent as Dax Prescott in the playoffs.
Oh my God, Dax Prescott. Yes, I know where you're going with that. I love that sports analogy.
Okay,
Oh,
so anyways, back to what we were talking about.
go ahead.
Look. AEW has one huge issue. Is it a valid issue? Of course it is. What is the biggest problem in AEW? Storylines. Why? Because they're inconsistent. Why? Because Tony has this thing to where he likes to start and he likes to stop. He likes to start and he likes to stop. And you get so many storylines that just have that Vince-esque problem. That Vince-esque problem is the fact that they start one, they branch out to something else, and then make nothing of it. And that's exactly what Tony is doing. I don't know who gave him that formula. I don't know who told him that formula was good. Maybe freaking Shane McMahon's already working for him, or I don't know. It's one of those, like, you're just as to wondering why the hell this shit's so fucking inconsistent. Is the wrestling good? Of course it's fucking good. He does it for the sickos. But what I'm saying is that you want people to be invested in the company. Yes, they have a bunch of people who are fucking diehard freaking AEW fans. Yay, great, kudos, yay. But wrestling is great. Storylines suck fucking monkey balls. Period.
Whew, with monkey ball, I don't know how I can follow monkey balls, but yes, monkey balls aside.
Hey, at least I didn't say sweaty monkey balls, okay? I could have said sweaty monkey balls.
Well, speaking of monkey balls, you sent me another one that we're definitely going to get into, and I got to bring this up. Psycho Sid, old man Sid, talking about Sami Zayn.
This is the thing is, I watched a little bit of it, not a lot of it. But I've watched it over years, and I don't know any of these people, okay? But Sami Zayn, they shouldn't be putting him over at all. And I don't know the guy. I'm sure he's working hard, but he beat Brian Baker? Okay, downside to that, I saw him just a little bit. Watching him, looked like they were ready to give him a little bit of a push, right? Because he's looking good in the ring and stuff like that. I don't know unless the business has changed. Sami Zayn has had his opportunity to prove he's either it or not. You can't say you're it when other people are putting the people out there, so he's not it, right? I would think if you got the new kid, give him a chance, you know what I mean? Unless the new kid's not doing it right.
Okay, you go first on good old Psycho Sid.
Okay, so apparently he actually said, and I will start with something a little bit off of what this is. I'll come back to it in a second. So he apparently said on someone's podcast that he believes that now that Triple H is in charge and Vince is gone, that he has a little bit more of a chance to actually be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Now, that being said, I will get that's out of the way. I'll let you respond to that after I'm done.
Okay.
He's not wrong, but he's not right, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and we already stated this before, the fact that it should have been Chad to go over. Chad Gable should have went over that more than Sammy, because as much as people like Sammy and as much as Sammy is such a likable character, he didn't need the belt to continue to be a likable character. Him chasing titles is probably what's key for him. And we saw it with when he was chasing Roman Reigns, when he was chasing Gunther for this title. I just don't think it was his time to win it. Should he have won it maybe somewhere else, maybe not right now, or maybe it should have been not this WrestleMania, but maybe next WrestleMania. Maybe he could have won it off of Chad. That's where I think that's where it could have went. And I think Gunther could have still done what he was doing now. That being said, I think he's shitting on him when he shouldn't shit on him. Yes, he doesn't know the guy. Yes, he doesn't think. And I think Braun Breaker is one of those guys that I hope come SummerSlam, he actually wins that title from Sammy, because you need to propel that guy into the atmosphere right now, because that guy is very much that next big thing, like Brock Lesnar. And if you showcase him as being that guy, then you could have that quote unquote next big thing in WWE. And you already know who his father is. You already know who his uncle is. So this guy is it. This guy is the next world champion, whether it be world heavyweight champion or WWE champion. That's just point blank down the line in the future. But give this guy the IC title, man. This guy needs to hold a title.
I think with everything that happened with what he said, I think he was a little hard on him, but I also look at it from a stance too as well. We talked about many times how Chad should have won it, whether it be the babyface or the heel. The feel-good moment of Chad finally winning that singles championship. But with this, it's like Sammy got him, and then Braun just gets even madder. And like we saw at Raw, let me just put this out here. Good God! He spears Ilya Dragunov out of midair. His head, whoopah, right on the hardest part of the ring. My God, man, that spot was sick, and I hope he is okay, because that was ugly. And then at the end of the night, he spears Sami Zayn. If he does not win the Intercontinental Championship at this big pay-per-view, because I think it's going to happen here, Braun Breaker deserves an Intercontinental Championship, much like you compared the next big thing. When Brock Lesnar debuted, takes out Spike Dudley, takes out Al Snow, takes out Maven. Then he's beaten up like the Hurricane, DDP, Rikishi, Molly Holly. His first feud is with the Hardys, beats Jeff Hardy. Then he goes in the King of the Ring, beats RVD, beats Hulk Hogan, beats The Rock. Like having like the months that he's had with Braun Breaker ever since he's been on the main roster, especially since he's come to the Raw brand. Like he's a heel, but people are still doing because you can't help but be infectious and like him because of his speed. He's a freaking brick shithouse. He has the agility. He runs. He's just very good at what he does. Like, even though he's a heel, you like him because he's just such a fucking badass. So I think what they're doing right now with the story is just the trajectory of him going towards SummerSlam, winning that Intercontinental Championship. I think it's golden, man, and I'm excited to see where that goes.
And I think he's just a far better athlete. Now, I'm not taking nothing away from Brock.
Yeah.
Not that part. But I think in as far as like him having that quickness, Brock didn't have it. He was fast, but not that fast. He was never that fast. He couldn't run that damn freaking long that route like he did, like Braun does. No. There's no way. Are they both powerful? Of course they are. Fuck, man, they're both fucking top level athletes. But Brock didn't have that speed. Brock did not have that foot speed.
I gotta say, speaking of speed and what stops people in their tracks, Liv Morgan, my God. Like Dominic breaking it off, I hate you, mommy licking him like he's friggin' Katrina and Lucha Underground with Mil Muertes, and Liv Morgan doing the turn, like, this is what girls like me, this is what Dominic likes. Like, I am loving this feud, and I'm gonna say it right now. You know good and goddamn well that he's gonna turn on mommy and go with Liv at SummerSlam, and I'm here for it. When that happens and the reaction it's gonna get from the people, like, this is going to be even more nuclear heat than friggin' Dominic already has when he turns on mommy and joins up with Liv Morgan. Chicken tenders and PS2s and PS4s and video games. Does any man's heart a whole heart of gold? I'm here for it, man.
No, I'm sorry, but she said the one thing that kind of irked me, and it really, really pissed me off. Okay, yeah. It really didn't piss me off, but it kind of upset me to the point to where I was just like, sorry. Women like or men like Dominic. like Dominic don't go for women like Rhea. And I'm thinking to myself, you're a goddamn liar.
Right? That's so true.
This one would, because mommy is hot. I'm sorry.
I would too. I'm right there with you.
Mommy is hot. And I'm sorry. And my daughter that's my daughter's girl crush. So point being is that Rhea is fine. When Rhea isn't wearing what she was wearing the other hip, she nice. And I have nothing to take away from Liv because she looked a hell of a nice too. So beautiful, 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 beautiful. On top of hella hot and hella hot. But Dom, I hope you make your choice and you hope to make the right choice, because if not, then mommy's gonna come after you.
Speaking of people coming after each other, I am really enjoying the Wyatt Six and Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. Nikki Cross's video this week of her just screaming, and they forgot about you. You were forgotten, and her just showing her crying, and just that overall trajectory of where she was just staring into space and to where we are now. Like, I love it. I cannot wait for Dexter Loomis's video as well as Joe Gacy's video. They're the only two left to see from the VH side of things. What were your thoughts on Nikki? First, we'll start before we get into the angle later in the show, but what were your thoughts on Nikki Cross's VHS tape this week?
I'm gonna go back 1 week.
Okay, go ahead.
I have to go back 1 week because
Eric Rowan,
I have to talk about Eric Rowan.
Oh my Lord. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I cried.
Me too.
I cried so much. You already know why, but I cried so much. I felt it. I know what he's going through, and I felt it. Every fucking word that he said. And oh my God, it ripped at my heartstrings, and I feel for him much like I felt for Bo. Talking about his brother, talking about Bray, and both of them just, and it's weird because you hear Eric, and he was literally talking about Luke, and he was talking about Bray, his brothers leaving him and his brothers being gone. Now, I fast forward 1 week and we listened to Nikki. Oh my God, her screams were just deafening. But you can hear it, and you can hear the pain in her screams. But it makes all kinds of sense. And yes, I am with you. I cannot wait for the next two to come out. I cannot wait to hear about Dexter Lumis and how he feels just being set aside and kind of like feeling like an outcast. In how I'm here for it. I am here for all of it. Give me more. Or in other words, wait. Yeah, I was just gonna say, Batista, give me what I want.
So I think what got me about it, because that hit on my heartstrings. For those who haven't checked that Eric Rowan's VHS, like the whole thing. But then he's like, "Who am I? I'm just Rowan," and I'm like, "Oh, bro." When he said that, I'm like, "Dude, like right here, who am I? I'm just Rowan," and I'm like, "Oh, like." Like that, I knew it was going to get me, much like Bo, just because of the history between the Wyatt family and all of them. But Nikki's this week was, again, it's just like, what's so funny about it too as well is like she was the reason why Alexa transformed into this whole thing, because we shoved her down. And now Nikki is the one who's feeling all, passed out, nobody cares about me, you were forgotten, you were ignored. I like Nikki, and plus let's be honest with ourselves here, Paul. She plays the psycho character very, very well, like from her days Insanity to where we are now. This is Nikki Cross. And
then I don't know about that superhero ASH. I don't give me that. Don't ever look. That's a Vince thing, and please don't ever bring that back.
Well, she wanted to do it, but also at the same time, it's like it makes no sense, because it's like, why do you want to almost be a superhero? Why don't you just want to be a superhero? Why don't you just want to win? Why do you want to almost win? And that takes people out of it right there. Like,
and I get it. She won the Raw Women's Championship, and it was great. Hey, cool, fine and dandy, but it just seemed like it was kind of like one of those like lackluster championship reigns. And I would love to see her be a champion again as this character. Oh my God, give it to me. Kind of like Rosemary and freaking TNA. That's where I kind of channel it to. Abandon in freaking AEW. I mean, or when she wasn't. Yeah, Abaddon, and when she was in TNA too. Another one that's just a superb character. Again, back to it's. I would love to see more from her, and I can't wait to see where this goes, man. And I'm with you. This Wyatt Six, I'm feeling all of it, especially if it. And I would have been. It probably would have been a hell of a lot better had Bray been here. But man, they are doing Bray some justice with everything that they're doing.
Here's what I loved about it, just because you still have Otis coming in. He wants, my pupils, I'm letting you have a chance. And then they're like, no. And then the beatdown occurs, and then they come out. Here's what I loved about it. He does the there you are, because Bo Dallas's Uncle Hattie's right behind him. And as soon as he gives him in, pulls him in for the Sister Abigail, and then he hits it. The pop that these people gave him when he hit the Sister Abigail was amazing. You got goosebumps because they're
Dude,
like,
and that's what and my wife was sitting at the kitchen table when we were watching it, and I just I started doing this, and she goes, "What?" And I had to show her again, and man, I had the feels, man. And look, I doing that whole rock thing, and dude, I had it, man. And I felt it, dude. I channeling Bray Wyatt, man. That's where it got me too, man. I'm pretty sure everybody in that crowd was feeling it too.
And like I said, now here's my thing. A lot of people have been debating on, what type of match. Should it just be, because I like the trajectory of Bray Wyatt's pay-per-view debut was SummerSlam against Kane in 2013. The Fiend was introduced at SummerSlam against Finn Balor in 2019. Should it just be Uncle Howdy versus Chad Gable, or should we get like a 6-man? You could even make it a mixed tag in a 4-on-4 at Ivy Nile with the Chad group. What are you thinking?
I would like it to be a straight up match, but then again, I could see where it would be a nice little 6-man tag. It would be interesting, to see the Creed brothers get in there with I don't know, maybe Eric Rowan or Dexter Lumis or
Joe Gacy.
Joe Gacy, and especially Joe Gacy. Joe Gacy is a really fucking good wrestler. So, that would be cool to kind of see that, especially finally seeing Eric back in the ring. I would love to see Dexter kind of sitting outside, kind of standing out there and kind of being creepy, how he was before, and that would be cool to. But yeah, maybe a 6-man would be good for the starts, and then maybe something happened during the match or after the match that kind of or towards the ending of the match to where Chad and the Creed brothers kind of maybe fall or something kind of magical kind of happens, and I'm all here for it. I'm here for it. Everything.
So here's what I also love about it too is those are the big things that we really took away from this week's Raw. And Raw was a good Raw this week. It really was. I'm going to tell you right now, and here's my thing. I actually like Sonya, Zoe Stark, and Shayna as a trio. I'm here for that. Give me more of that. I've been really enjoying, again, going the trajectory. Seth Rollins now the special guest referee for CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I'm here for it. I'm really just, again, man, it puts a smile on my face to see the booking trajectory and the booking arc that Triple H has. And here's why I put it to you like this, Paul. You realize it's been 2 years now since Vince has stepped down and retired, since that whole tweet. It's been 2 years now, and here's Triple H just doing his thing. And
but do you realize that they could be setting up a mid-card title for the women?
Yes.
Can you kind of see that tweak of what they're doing? It's you have women who are returning, all from injury, or they're building up their women's roster. I get it. They do have tag teams, and I can see now that we got on NXT today that we found out that Alba Fire and Isla Dawn are actually going to wrestle next week against Lash Legend and
Chikara.
Chikara against, for the women's tag team titles. Although I would really, really like, with as many women that are down there, I would love NXT to get their women's tag titles back. Because I don't think that they should go down there. I think if you keep them up on the main roster, they can kind of form, develop, and whatnot, and you could kind of get these tag teams, whether it's on SmackDown to kind of form too, get more women on there. I think the way that they're building NXT, and that they're eventually going to have a lot of call-ups to the main roster, that you could kind of see where it's going, and they're getting more and more women in that they're building up in NXT to hit that main roster. Maybe a mid card there. Maybe we could see what the North American title, the women's North American title, is doing, especially with Kalani Jordan being that women's title, that title holder right now. So it's a lot going on, man. I'm here for it.
And I really do like how Pete Dunne on Raw is going against Sheamus, and that's a nice feud. Dude, him attacking Trick Williams tonight was sweet. Like, I am here for Pete Dunne and Trick Williams. He's back. It's not even the feuds for me, but he's back to being that badass bruiserweight, that NXT UK Pete Dunne when he was going against Tyler Bate and just being one of the badasses of the NXT UK heavyweight division, being UK champ.
Yeah, exactly. And I love him and Sheamus. Oh my God, I would love to see that banger sometime. And I'm hoping that when they do actually set it off, I am here for it. Especially with Bronson Reed. Oh my God, dude. Those three in the ring together would just put on some bangers.
Banger after banger after banger after banger.
Banger. Man. Ooh, bangers and mash.
Speaking of bangers, how about what's his face? Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs tonight and Sean Spears. Briggs. Yes, and Sean Spears. Dude, his chair shots, like his whole back was fakakketed. Sean Spears is like, do it. Do you like how Sean Spears has found that lost soul, Brooks Jensen? He has turned on Josh Briggs once more. What are you thinking about that alliance?
Hey, you have to admit that ever since they brought him back, or ever since he returned to NXT, have you noticed that he's kind of in everything?
Yes.
That he's in something, especially with Ethan Page. Ethan Page coming over, again, much like Cody. Cody is just involved with everything. So it's like now you got these guys that are coming over from AEW, and what they weren't doing there, they're doing here. And it's like the storylines are making sense. It's like the storyline, what they're doing is like they're putting them in things that they weren't doing in AEW. And that's just a beautiful thing, especially kudos to Shawn Michaels. Kudos to Shawn fucking Michaels. Happy birthday, by the way, Shawn. And you are fucking doing the damn thing. Oh my God, you are fucking doing the damn thing in NXT. Say his name.
And he appears. I believe in Shawn Michaels. Clap, clap.
I believe in Shawn Michaels, but I also believe in Joe Hendry.
Which, again, we mentioned at the start about like him not winning the TNA championship and him on NXT. Him and Gallus, the fact that we're seeing more of him, like he made such an impression. Like this is the same guy I remember from TNA, watching him in 2018. I know he did some work in ICW in Scotland, but when he was with Grado and they were doing the comedy stuff, and you're just like, okay, here's this guy who's funny, he can sing. But then this friggin' I Believe in Joe Hendry has been like, this has taken off. The single's been a hit. He's been a hit. Like he's doing some of his best stuff and best run right now. And I believe, and I'm here for Joe Hendry, much like I'm here for, let me just say this, the Rascals against Nathan Fraser, Axiom, and Bouncy, Mr. Javon Evans this week. Oh my God. Like that 6-man tag was awesome.
I can't wait. I really, really can't wait for the Great American Bash next week, and actually the next 2 weeks. Because of the Olympics, everything's on Sci-Fi this week, so hopefully everybody is able. Hopefully everybody has Sci-Fi, so it's part of on the cable, whatever. Look on TikTok, look on something. Find it, man, because next week is going to be pretty interesting. Actually, the next couple of weeks are going to be interesting because WWE is pretty much on Sci-Fi for the next couple of weeks, at least Raw and NXT. SmackDown's still on Fox, so it ain't going nowhere.
One thing I have to say about SmackDown, because it was pretty much the same, Cody and Kevin Owens against Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, and then the Bloodline comes out, puts Cody through the table, much like we saw the week prior. But one thing I want to mention on SmackDown before we get to our last two topics, and one is actually quite funny, but I got to mention your girl, one of our favorite, two girls, if you will. Nia Jackson Bailey had this face-to-face via satellite interview, and Bailey's like, you know why you haven't changed since 2017? Because you're big, you're clumsy, you're just aggressive, you're reckless. And I'm like, oh my God, she literally just went there with her, and Nia's facials was priceless. This woman went off on Nia Jax, and I was here for it. For the BBL Bailey to this, oh my God. Oh my God.
This is, what, it's interesting because they've talked about Bailey over the last since she won the title at WrestleMania, you've had a lot of people who have bashed her, who have bashed what the storylines that she's been given. That now that she has the title, that she's just kind of there. You know, she's not really anybody on SmackDown. She doesn't really seem like a legitimate champion. But this past Friday, man, that should change everybody's perspective. Because right now, at this very moment, Bayley is actually a world champion. And she is making it look like she's a world champion. I'm this brand's champion. You either fucking respect me or you get the fuck out of my way, because that's basically what she told Nia. And sorry. Please don't do that to my girl Nia like that, man. You're hurting my feelings, especially when it's my two girls going after each other.
I'm right there with you, and like especially from their trajectory, like she mentioned, the year 2017, like when they were in NXT together, going for the title. Like these are two different women on their paths. I'm saying this right now, and I know a lot of people still crap on Nia Jax from her past transgressions, but this is probably some of the best work she's done in her WWE career. This woman has just been amazing. She's worked hard. She deserves what she's getting and doing right now. I am here for that Nia Jax, and I am here for Bayley. And speaking of Nia Jax, this leads to one of our other final topics, and it's a comedic one. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill were on Versus. They were holding up Never Have I Ever, and Never Have I Ever peed in the ring. And Bianca peed in the ring, and she admitted it was from her Queen of the Ring match with Nia Jax, where she took the Bonsai Drop, the Annihilator, and a little pizzle. Came out.
You have to admit that was pretty funny. And then
it was
the Never Have I Ever. And I beg you guys to go watch Denise, because when she was doing the Never Have I Ever with when she was over in Scotland for Clash at the Castle, she did it with Chelsea Green. She did it with Piper Niven. She did it with Bayley. She did it with Bianca Belair. But it was just kind of funny, and the things that they were talking about. And but this one in particular, that was pretty cool. I like that they have that interaction, that they're able to kind of say, yes, these things happen. You know, sometimes it happens. Same thing. Yeah, I believe it was Stone Cold who said that he shit himself in the damn ring, that he hit the corner of the ring, and he kind of felt like his stomach was kind of like hurting, and he couldn't quite figure out what happened. And then he was like, luckily he was wearing black trunks. Luckily he had black trunks on, and he wasn't wrestling in freaking jean shorts or those tore up jean fucking pants, because he said that, and I quote, it would have been a whole lot different scene from behind, if you know what I mean.
I mean, we've heard about CM Punk. I mean, this is when he was on the Z-Packs. How he shit his pants in that match with Dean Ambrose on SmackDown.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of them. Like, again, folks, like we talk about, it's funny.
Big Show. Paul White. Big Show said that he was, I believe it. Oh, and Rikishi said the same thing. Like, he had just came out from the bathroom, and they told him his match was up next. And he was like, wait a second, I didn't get to go shower. They're like, you need to go out there. You need to go put your clothes on. So he went out there, and he was bound and determined not to give somebody the stink face, because he knew he had went to the bathroom. But what did they tell him to do? Still give him the stink face. And he was just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I need to shower. So I think it was I believe it was Jamie Noble, or I believe it was Jamie Noble he was facing in the ring, and he gave him he ran at him, and then he hit him with his ass in the head. And he told Jamie, he said, I think I shit myself. He said, roll over. He goes, I need to take the pin. I gotta go. And he took off he said he pinned him, and he took off out of the ring. It was like, yeah, up the ramp, like walking backwards, because he knows that he kind of a little bit sharted himself. It was just like, thank you. Okay, gotta go. Bye. And he ran through the back and ran into the shower because he knew he sharted himself.
Oh, but that's just what you get with professional wrestling. And I love those stories because it's real and it happens to all of us. And I mean, we just say this because, I mean, we're going to get into the last one, but you and I talked about this. And it makes sense to say this because wrestling and politics go hand in hand. Goddamn Hulk Hogan. goddamn Hulk Hogan. And again, we don't talk about politics on the show, but this happened, so we're just going to mention it very briefly. This man goes into the Republican National Convention, comes out to Real American, by the way, like it's a fucking Hulkamania is running wild at WrestleMania. He goes out there and talks about it. And again, say what you will about
he must have thought he was either at WrestleMania 4 or WrestleMania 5. One of those two.
Oh, he was at WrestleMania 7 going against the Iranian sympathizers.
Yeah, whatever. One of those.
You say what you will about Donald Trump, whether you like him or you don't, but you don't want to see anybody get shot. Let's just put it that way. Violence is not the answer, especially gun violence. Let's put that out there, because that is true. You don't want to see the man get killed, even if you say what you will about him. And we've said what we've said about him, Mr. Paul Morales. But when you go out there and the fucking convention and you cut the promo about what they did to my hero, I said enough was enough. And what you gonna do when Donald Trump and all the Trumpomaniacs
when the Trumpomaniacs run wild on you?
I'm looking at this and I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? And everybody's like, oh, well, you can't have fun. This is about the country. This is about the free world, the leader of the free world, our country, our world, and what we're going to do to make it a better place. This is not fucking WrestleMania. That's why
Look, I get trying to energize the base. I completely get it. But if this were anywhere but the convention, hell, if it was on the road and you were having some sort of whatever the hell you call those things when you go out and you start freaking parading yourself around like a bunch of fucking idiots.
Yeah, I get you.
Okay, so if they were out there and he was doing, and he had them on the road or whatever, and they did this, and that would be different. But this is a national audience.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say that you wouldn't get the coverage on the news, and whatnot, but you're talking about a convention. And then you get Hulk Hogan, who goes out there, who has been known to say some pretty racist shit before. And you're going out there and you're trying to tell these people, well, brother, this, and oh my God, and now my Trumpomaniacs, and you got to talk about my hero who takes a shot at my hero. And it's like,
well, even
it's like people put Hulk Hogan on this pedestal like he's the greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, sort of, but not really. There are so many other guys that are way. What he did for wrestling? Yes, nobody could take that away from him. But that wasn't just him. That was Vince, and Vince used him as his prop to kind of say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and whatnot. That was the Hulk Hogan way. This was just, I'm going to pay you some money. You're going to go out there. You're going to say what you're going to say. Okay, what you're going to do your Hulk Hogan shtick and whatnot, and we'll get the hell out of here.
I mean, it started for me when he was on the panel and he's like, oh man, I got to say what needs to be said. I feel like when I slammed Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3, brother. And I'm like, and he slammed Andre the Giant. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I already knew where this is going.
How are you comparing what you did in wrestling to what this is?
I know.
And it's not the same shit. Come on, Terry. It ain't the same shit. Come on, brother. It ain't the same shit.
And such good shit. Like, again, I respect like what he did for wrestling. I think for a lot of us, if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, a lot of people got introduced to wrestling via Hulk Hogan. There's no doubt about it. But here's my thing. It's also like, again, what this man has done with his racial comments, especially with him and Nasty Nick Dude, and giving him and his friend John Graziano the alcohol, and John Graziano, who's no longer with us, becoming in a vegetative state. A lot of the stuff that he's done has been very deplorable. And, when he got booed at WrestleMania, him and Titus O'Neil, remember when they came back from COVID and they're hosting WrestleMania in Tampa, and they booed this man in his hometown out of the building. They booed him out of the building because people are not going to forgive him for what he said, because what he said was disgusting. There's just something.
And you know what? I go along the lines of what both Booker T and Mark Henry have stated. Mm-hmm. Like, you're allowing this racist back into this company.
Mhm.
You know, there are reasons why a lot of people don't want to be associated with him. But I get the fandom of everything. I really, really do. I like this whole fanatic fan fest in New York that's going to happen. I believe it's next week or something like that,
Yeah, a couple weeks.
or in a couple weeks. I get it. I get that, you know, that there are still fans that are going to be out there, but then again, you're probably going to get a bunch of Trump supporters that are probably going to go in there and probably be like, yeah, because he's with our Trump guy, and he's, you know, he's supporting my friend, our commander in chief, or the real commander in chief, as some of them has stated, you know, out there or whatever. But I mean, it's nonsense. It's really, really is. The fact that he's going to be there, it's whatever. But a lot of these people are just going to, I got probably kind of rambling on dumb shit, but
Let me tell you something.
I can get why, a lot of people are drawn to him. I get why a lot of people are drawn to who Hulk Hogan is. You're drawn to him because of what he did for wrestling, but the fact that he was one of the people who started, you know, made wrestling so popular, made it so mainstream, made it rock and wrestling, as they used back in the day. So if it's whatever.
The Trumpomaniacs aside and whatnot, brother. First of all, one last thing on that. I never
What you gonna do? Oh, sorry, my bad.
Paul, I never thought in my life I would ever see another grown man like Donald Trump blow a kiss to Hulk Hogan. That was even worse for me, watching fucking the Donald blow him a kiss. Like, and I'm like, all right, okay, sure. But yeah, blowing kisses and whatnot aside, final topic. Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Tamina removed from the internal roster. Everybody on Twitter has been going buck wild. Oh, they fumbled the ball with Bobby Lashley in this run. Intercontinental champion, WWE champion, wrestled Goldberg,
United States champion,
wrestled Brock Lesnar, wrestled Roman Reigns, wrestled all these people. Like, he's had memorable matches. Stop it. Like, they did not fumble the ball on Bobby Lashley.
And he's 48 years old. You're not talking about somebody, and I get it. He's in phenomenal shape. I get it. But he's also 48 years old. He's just a few years younger than Edge, a few years younger than Christian. Yeah, you know, we're talking about, and I get it. There's way more different, you know, parameters as far as like him being in this statuesque freaking physique, in shape of how he is. But dude, as far as the rumors go, I get it. MVP went out and he started telling people like that the Hurt Business wasn't doing, that Vince McMahon, he said Triple H didn't want to bring back the Hurt Business. He has every opportunity to. He has, but what are they going to do? It's like you let Shelton Benjamin go. You still have Cedric Alexander there,
but he's in NXT.
And who's in? And yeah, and it's like, what are you gonna do? Okay, say they bring you back, and I'm just saying hypothetical, even though that their contracts are up, and maybe about another month or two. Hypothetically, say they bring them back. Where do you put them? You put them on Raw. You leave them on SmackDown, because that's where Bobby Lashley was. Bobby Lashley was on SmackDown. He was with the Street Profits. Do you bring back the Hurt Business? Do you have MVP and have them reform the Hurt Business? You know, and do you bring Cedric, you know, in to all of a sudden have another bring in a mid-card title? Because I think because you have the bloodline that's there, you have that storyline that's already developing, has been developing for almost nearly 4 years on that, and it's like, so where do you put them? what do you do with them? You stick them on Raw, and what? Who do they fight? The Judgment Day?
My thing too with that is like he kind of accused Triple H of being racist, which I'm like, all right, I'm gonna say this, and I'll add to like Bobby Lashley.
Oh no. What he said is that they are demasculating black men on the main roster. Is that what they're doing? Is that they're that was MVPs demasculating men, black men on the main roster, which is not true. Because even if you look at NXT and you look at the main roster, it's still pushing people. I mean, and everything still has to develop. You can't just say, okay, well, I'm going to put this guy here and be like, you're going to go to the moon wherever right away. You know, and Bobby Lashley was just a world champion, what, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So how is it you're going to try and sit here and say that they're trying to demean or demasculine black men that are on the main roster? Okay, so if just as a generalization, like you're kind of throwing this out there as speculation. I get it. He doesn't want to name names. He said, once I'm done with my contract, I'll start blurting out stuff. Well, if you're so confident in what you know and what you believe, say the shit. Don't fucking wait till your damn contract is up.
I will say this. Thank you for saying demasculating. I was referring to what a lot of the fans were saying that was racist. Not racist, demasculating. Thank you. So a lot of fans claim the R word and demasculation, much like MVP said and how Paul, reiterated here. So I don't think he's demasculating. I don't think he's being racist. I don't think he's being whatever you want to say and claim that he's doing. I think Triple H, like we mentioned earlier in today's forum, it's, again, what are you going to do with him? Like you have the Judgment Day, you have the Bloodline, you have so many different acts. And here's the thing with Bobby Lashley, like you mentioned, he's almost 50 in his late 40s. MVP is like 46. Like he's not almost to 52. But I'm just like, you have a guy that's like a Bobby Lashley, and we've said it many times on the show. Oba fucking Femi. I have a young Oba Femi who's the NXT North American champion, and when he comes to the main roster, he's gonna fucking knock the door down. Like Oba Femi in such a short time has been one of the rising stars and fastest stars rising here in the WWE. Like, and again, it's no disrespect, but why do I need Bobby Lashley? Oh, well, they had something with the Street Profits. What are they going to do with the Street Profits? The Street Profits are going to be fucking fine. Like, they're just going to be in the tag team division. They're going to be fucking fine. Like, they're going to be just fine.
And they'll eventually win the titles. Why is it that it's such a hard thing to understand? Are they still a team that's out there and can be a champion? Of course they can. I mean, it's not like they can't. Just because, look, you have a lot of people that are on this roster, and mind you, he brought people back. He ended up moving. Has a lot of moving parts to where he's trying to create storylines for everybody. He brings you guys back, and what does he do? What is he supposed to do? Are you guys going to feud with the Bloodline? Do you guys go over feud with the Judgment Day? Do you guys feud with the AOP and freaking and the Final Testament? And that, which is fine. I mean, if that's what you want to do, because I think he would have more of an opportunity to be a world champion on Raw as opposed to being on SmackDown, because SmackDown right now is pretty much Bloodline Cody. Mm-hmm. Is what it is. And that's what a lot of people want.
Yeah, and my thing too, Paul, is, and again, my apologies for cutting you off there, but god dang, man, like, here's what I think about this too. People are already starting with they should go to AEW, and well, obviously they can't use the Hurt Business name because WWE owns it. But I'm like, here's my thing. First of all, no. Bobby Lashley and MVP should not go to AEW. You know where they should go? TNA. Why? The Beatdown Clan. They were a thing in TNA called the Beatdown Clan. It was him, MVP, Kenny King, Samoa Joe, Low Key, the whole nine. Like, it was a big deal. The Beatdown Clan was a big thing back in the day. Have Bobby Lashley and MVP show up in TNA as the Beatdown Clan. Bobby Lashley and Josh Alexander. Bobby Lashley and Joe Hendry. Bobby Lashley and Nick Nemeth.
Bobby
And-
Lashley and Moose, you
Which
know,
is-
and run it back. And that would be another person that you could probably bring into that faction. I mean, and you're looking at what could, at the possibilities of what could happen. Go to TNA. You know what? Move them over to TNA. Let them run the show. You know, they could still do the damn thing. Obviously, Bobby can still fucking wrestle like his ass off. And even at 48, I mean, he's phenomenal. And you know, he's not like Brock Lesnar is. You know, he's a great athlete. And you know, let him go run down there and let him go do his damn thing. You know,
just do it.
Rich Swann could probably use him down there. So,
oh yes. Now
he could be Cedric Alexander. Hell, he could even move Cedric Alexander over to TNA, and it would probably help out both companies. Seriously,
I agree. But
X Division could freaking use another shot in the arm. So,
well, here's my thing with that too, and I think at this point, and I don't mean to be mean about this, I really don't. And we mentioned Tony earlier in the show, but at this point in time, why would you want to go to AEW? And the only reason why I mention it like that is because you get lost in the shuffle. Look at Camille. They signed Camille back in February. Where the hell is she? And she's addressed the frustrations. Like, where the hell is she?
Exactly. And that's somebody that should have either stayed in NWA or went to TNA or could have came to WWE, and she probably could have had a bigger platform for her to sit on.
Well, that was
and even if she went to TNA, she still have that WWE platform because look at the freaking relationship that they have.
Well, that was my thing too. It's because Camille's not there, but you can debut fucking Hologram, who is Aramis from AAA on Collision.
Who is Single H.
Single H. And I don't hate the gimmick. I really don't, but it's just like, all right, I've seen this before. He looks like, and freaking somebody said Axiom should sue him for stealing his gimmick, and I about peed my pants because I can definitely see that.
No, I saw the H, and everybody kept saying, "Oh, look, it's Single H." Not necessarily. He's too short of Triple H, you know.
Oh my god! But yeah,
but
he was fine. And that guy was fine, but it's just like it's any typical lucha libre match that you've seen. And I don't hate Hologram, but it was like, okay,
we'll go back. Oh yeah, so the other person you mentioned was Tamina, and I think she's gonna possibly, and if she does it, and I'm gonna throw this out there, the Tonga twins.
Yes, they've been at the Performance Center.
They were at the Performance Center. What would be interesting is if Tamina becomes, I don't know, maybe a manager of them.
I'm for it.
I'm here for it. If that was something that they can do, I'm here for it. And somebody they can learn from, and it's family.
My thing too that I love about Tamina, and I've always said this during the COVID time period, I was so happy when her and Natalya won the tag team titles because Tamina had been there for about 10 doggone years on that main roster, and she finally won a championship. I was very happy for Tamina.
I was very, very happy for her too. Hey, I admit I cried because I know the knee injuries that she dealt with throughout the years, and that's been her downfall for most of her WWE career, literally almost 15 years. That happened, and she's like, it seems to be like year after year after year, it's always a meniscus injury, it's always an ACL injury, it's either an MCL injury, and for as many times as she's had both of those repaired, man, I mean, for either knee, it didn't matter which one, but I'm just happy that she actually got to win a world title, whether even if it was a tag team title. I'm just happy to see her win and hold the title above her head and on her shoulders. So,
agreed, man.
What else to Tamina?
And I think wherever these talents go, much like with anything, and we say this, even though we joke, we bag, we do what we do. We do. We do. Yes, we do. We like to see people just succeed and do their thing. So whatever happens, happens. But yeah, that's the ongoings in professional wrestling. And one last thing, since I mentioned Single H, another thing happened really quickly. So they vacated the doggone trios titles.
ROH.
And they freaking so Juice Robinson, they go on to it's like, why can't I defend it? It's like, no, Jay White, he's injured, so we have the match on Collision with them against the Patriots.
That made no sense. That
And
absolutely made no
Christian,
sense.
Nick Wade. And, so why are you going to do it if they're just going to put it on Christian, Nick Wade, and Luchasaurus?
And mind you, now all of a sudden the trios or 6-man tag titles in ROH are,
Or the AEW Trios title, whatever, they're back, yeah.
no, they're gone.
Oh, they're gone. Yeah. I know that's gone, but now
They're
it's just,
gone. They said that it wasn't that apparently now that they're not only vacated, but they're gone. Ixnade,
and now we have Christian, Luchasaurus, and
who are the AEW Trios title.
Yep.
Trios champion. I don't know. They may actually bring back that 6-man tag title for ROH at some point in time, but right now it's in the vault somewhere.
And speaking of in the vault, we like a lot vault baby locked down as this show has come to an end. Thank you for listening to another edition of the Weekly Review. Paul Morales, where can we find?
Should I be like Dave Meltzer and hold my microphone like right here?
Oh, it was such a good match. It was such a good match.
It was such a good match, and this and that, and
We can also do the Moses Marquez. What's up, baby? Happy birthday, Moses Marquez.
Hey. Happy birthday, Moses. Okay. Oh, it said you asked me where you could find me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's right there. Deadman of RWT, X, Twitter, TikTok, all that. You can find me. That name right there. And of course, that's where you can find me. I upload these ones as soon as that dude over there actually sends them to me, but he doesn't. So I got to do it illegally because apparently this dude over here doesn't know how to send me anything. But it's okay though, because I still get them anyways. You can find this show, his show, our show on my YouTube. This name, Deadman of RWT. Of course, Mr. Michael Larkin. Floor is yours, sir.
You're gonna make him feel like a piece of shit because I still got.
No, shut up. Yeah, I love you. Don't worry, man. We just putting this out there for people to enjoy, whether it's on mine or whether it's on yours. At least people will come in, interact with us, and actually just say, "Hey, guess what? I caught you guys." And yeah, okay, go. Sorry, my bad.
Can I just say about my mic I'm not moving this mic and breaking this, but I don't know how he does it where he just holds it like this. I'm like, Dave, can you just like sit like we have or have a mic and why you gotta be so-
okay, because Dave for some apparent reason likes to hold his microphones like it's I don't know, like he's Casey Kasem and doing the American Top 40, every week.
Here we got
that's exactly what he's doing.
We got this new group, friends.
We got this new group called NSYNC. Right here. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing it out. Anyways, now that we had enough laughter, you know what? Just tell us where the hell we can find you at.
All right. So SM Show 1 MCL92 on the Twitter front, StephenMikeShow.com, LFCfights.com, Larkin_92 or MLarkinMB on Instagram, Mike Larkin92. Subscribe to the channel. We have hit over 900 subscribers. Let's get to 1K, baby. Check out the Weekly Review with Paul Morales, Deep to the Heart of Wrestling with myself, Robert Davis, and Nicola McDonald, Uncaged with myself and Daniel Crimmins. Stephen Mike Show is back. Oh, I love that, man. I love that so much. Rest in peace to your daughter. Oh, see, now I'm in the very middle of plugs. You're going to get me all
emotional. I'm sorry. My bad.
No, you're cool. But yes, and you can follow the LFC podcast as well on the YouTube channel. Subscribe. And Paul, hold it up one more time so we can just talk about it. Go ahead. Rest in peace.
Oh. I lost my daughter on July 6th. This has been the hardest couple of weeks of my life. I didn't want to end the show like this. I really, really didn't. Her services are Friday. This is hard. I love you, my brother. I thank you for being here for me, for us. Allie, you'll always be my biggest wrestling fan. I love you.
Rest in peace, Allie. And thank you all for listening to another edition of the Weekly Review. For Paul Morales, my name is Mike Larkin, and enjoy wrestling, enjoy life, and God bless y'all. See you next time.